This is Roosevelt Gist with AutoNetwork, and we're here in Santa Barbara, California, standing in the, Oceana Dunes with Land Rover. And my guest on the show is Mr. Richard Beattie, Executive Vice President of Marketing and Sales. Richard, thanks for taking the time.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Let's get right into the meat of the auto business as it is now. The big three are having some difficulties, and Land Rover is owned by Ford. What are some of the things that Ford brought to the table that helped your product?
Well, if you look at the product lineup itself at Land Rover, we've just launched our fourth in four very new launches in the last 5 years, and all of that reflects the investment and the confidence that Ford placed in Land Rover when it acquired the company back in 2000. That's after almost 50 years of very few launches for Land Rover since it started after the war. So the pace of new model investment is really accelerated under Ford's ownership.
Now, you've been a global product for a long time. What are some of the things that you know about the global market, I guess, that you can bring to the table to help Ford?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily helping Ford is part of what we do. Land Rover is very much a global brand. In fact, we can't prove it, but we like to say that the first vehicle that the majority of the people see around the world when they're a young child is a Land Rover, because we are in so many markets. But we are relatively small compared to Ford Motor Company. What we bring is perhaps expertise in being a global leader in off-road capability. And I think these days as well, we're balancing that off-road capability that's always been a Land Rover strength with wonderful on-road dynamics, which in the past perhaps we've not been as good as. But now, with the Ford investment and our engineering folks back in the UK, we have a vehicle that is not only a leader off-road, but is absolutely spectacular with its on-road dynamics. Take the Range Rover itself, the supercharged version of that, which is our top of the line. It develops 400 horsepower. And there's a 400 horsepower machine that's wonderful on the highway, but can also do very well just doing 3 miles an hour off-road.
There's a lot of discussion about using platforms from multiple products. What's your opinion of that? Does it dilute the brand? Say if Land Rover were to use another platform designed, say, by Ford, do you think that would dilute the Land Rover brand?
Well, I think the word platform is often misused. The benefit of being part of a large company like Ford, with all of its companies that it's acquired, which includes Jaguar and Land Rover, Volvo, Aston Martin, there's a lot of technology that can be shared, and there's a lot of common architecture with the vehicles, the engines, the transmissions that we can share. But taking that basic architecture, like an engine or something, is a wonderful way of sharing across various companies. But that engine would need to be engineered for a Land Rover. It would need to have the low and high-end torque that we need for off-road capability. Wading, for example. We'll wade in 24 to 28 inches of water. You have to re-engineer, redesign an engine such that it can breathe in such conditions. And Land Rover does that, wonderfully well. And so using a common architecture, there are always opportunities for us at Land Rover to benefit from that overall relationship with Ford.
Now, what do you see in terms of the buying demographics or the habits of, let's say, a person in England buying a Land Rover versus a person in the U.S. buying a Land Rover? And you mentioned in your presentation last night that now the U.S. is your biggest market, and what do you attribute that to?
Well, we've had a lot of success lately with the new models, particularly the Range Rover Sport, which is still selling very strongly, and our retailers are still short of inventory. The large Range Rover has been successful, and we've had a lot of refreshes on that vehicle. So all of that has really helped in the US market, which we all know is actually the biggest market in the world in terms of total vehicles. And so we are doing our piece of growing that market. In fact, last year our sales grew 3.5%. It was our second successive record sales year in the US, and we just pipped at the post the UK market, which has been it's Land Rover's home market. The overall market size is much smaller, of course, than the US. But Land Rover's presence, its market share of that market, has been very, very strong for many, many years. So eventually now we've just become the largest selling market, the US market, And I can assure you there's a lot of healthy competition with the UK. They want to get that title back. But I think now with the launch, we're here, as you say, launching the all-new LR2, which goes on sale in April. And once we've started selling that, I think that will cement our crown for leadership for many years to come.
Now, what have you done from an equipment standpoint to really attract the American consumer, as well as a marketing standpoint? What have you changed in those areas?
Well, equipment is just one part of the equation, of course. What we've tried to do, particularly with the LR2 here, is recognize that these days there are some extremely competent premium passenger cars. And here is an extremely competent vehicle that perhaps those folks who are used to driving premium passenger cars might want to try this premium SUV from Land Rover, because it does have wonderful on-road dynamics matched with its off-road capability should you ever need it. So for us, really, the whole balance of on and off-road, the balance of capability is what we're trying to promote with this vehicle. The communications will bring that message hopefully across loud and clear as we start launching that in April. But very much it is an all-new segment for us, and I think will attract a lot of new buyers to the Land Rover brand.
Do you think the LR2 has finally brought all of those capabilities in terms of ride and handling on the highway, as well as its off-road capabilities, into one complete package that you can really promote in the marketplace?
Well, I think so. I mean, nobody would ever launch a vehicle that's not better than anything it's gone before. Certainly not in their minds anyway, and we believe that we have this. It's the latest level of technology. Again, all the engine management systems, all the traction control systems, all of it is very much, we have a lot of technology in the vehicle. We have a thing called terrain response, which is the vehicle itself will handle everything automatically. You don't have to do anything at all, but if you are in a certain off-road condition, in water, in mud, in ruts, on sand, gravel, snow and ice, you can just manually select by a simple rotation of a dial the mode that you want, and the vehicle will automatically optimize all of the suspension setups and all of the engine management systems, all the gearing, all the acceleration, just for that particular mode. And that technology is absolutely wonderful, and I defy any other manufacturer, any place, whether it be a car or an SUV, to match it, because we really have the leading edge in that regard.
Now, to dissuade some of the, I guess, maybe disbeliefs of the consumer that may be watching this, obviously the first thing that comes to mind is, with all that technology, if it breaks, what's it going to cost me? What's the warranty system that you have in place for that to protect the consumer? Well,
the warranty system is a lot of peace of mind. It's 4 years, 50,000 miles, so that's a lot of peace of mind to start with. Very competitive in the luxury segment in that regard. All Land Rovers come with free scheduled maintenance included for the period of the warranty. So it really is, a trouble-free, worry-free experience. And not everybody is going to lease these vehicles. Some people will buy them outright, some people will finance them, but leasing's a big part of the business, and typically we'll lease vehicles, Land Rovers, for 3 years. So if you're into leasing as the way of running your own vehicle, a 3-year lease back with a 4-year warranty, which certainly more than covers that, along with free scheduled maintenance, all of those concerns and worries are really taken care of. Also, the new LR2 is being built at a new plant for Land Rover over in the UK. It's an existing plant that builds some of the Jaguar vehicles, and its plant's called Halewood in northwestern England, just outside Liverpool, where the Beatles came from. But it won among all manufacturers in Europe, among all vehicle assembly plants, it won the Gold Award at end of 2005 for the absolute best plant in manufacturing production vehicle quality. So that's a really strong award for anybody to win, and now have the LR2 built in that facility is really bodes well for quality and reliability.
Now, in terms of sales of this particular product, the LR2, are you looking for existing Land Rover buyers to trade in and move up, or are you looking to obviously take business from the competition?
Well, the segment we believe is going to grow quite fast. The crossover segment, which is car-based SUVs that have replaced the truck-based SUVs, is the fastest growing segment. For us, we've positioned this vehicle right in the heart of that segment. But this is a no excuses SUV, as well as being, you know, a premium car in terms of the way that it handles. So we think we've got that balance just right for us, and we'll see. There are only a couple of contenders in the segment right now. The segment inevitably will grow, but I think, you know, here we are launching the car right now. We're at the beginning of the growth in that segment, and I think we'll do very well.
From a pricing standpoint, let's say low end to high end, fully equipped.
Yeah, well, the vehicle will essentially come in just two versions. So it's not like we have a base car and you have to add on 26 options to get anything that you're used to. So we essentially have two versions, one that's very, very nicely equipped and one is fantastically equipped. So we start at just below 35,000 on the well-equipped car, and we'll be just below 40,000 on the fantastically equipped car. So, you know, we think we're very well priced in the heart of the market, whether it be for cars, SUVs, crossovers, minivans. We think we have something here which will appeal to our customers.
And what excites Richard about the new LR2?
Well, you know, it's for me, we've just been driving here. You've been driving here at Pismo Beach in the sand dunes. Not that everybody will get to do that. But what excites me is actually the reaction of folks like you, the journalists who've been driving the car. You know, I'm clearly going to be biased. You know, this is what I do. I sell and market these products, so you don't expect an objective answer from me. But listening to all of you who've been driving these vehicles in the last couple of waves and a few more to come, the response has been extremely encouraging from folks who get a chance to.
But there still may be something about this car when you drive it that raises the heartbeat a little bit. Yeah. What is that?
Well, I think it's dynamics. It's on-road dynamics, really, is what you know, which means the steering, the braking, the cornering, the balance of the vehicle. Its poise is very, very good for a vehicle that's in the $35,000 to $40,000 range. That's what excites me. I think we've got a real winner here in the heart of the market, which is very reasonably priced.
Great, Richard. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
This is Roosevelt Gist with AutoNetwork, and we're here in Santa Barbara, California with Land Rover for the launch of the new LR2. And as always, please buckle up, don't drink and drive. See you next time.